I think the next bit of the tutorial is bugged, so we'll see when we initiate dialogue with him. Welcome to the advanced class, oh my. So this is the system everyone in our universe is using, the controller system. Now this is something I sort of explained already. Understand this system is the key to making anything functional in this world. Here's how it works. Almost all functional blocks have two types, a controller and its modules. Each module on a structure is used by the controller it is connected to. If you place a cannon computer, which is the controller, and cannon barrels, which are the modules, that are connected to it, it will fire when you use the controller on your hotbar. It's the computer that controls the cannons as one object on the hotbar. First, you need to fix this connection for me. The cannon should fire automatically, but they are not linked. So he wants to build some sort of automatically firing weapon, but the computer here, which is being triggered to fire because of the tutorial, is not being activated because there is no cannons connected to it. So if we press C on this, we have selected this, as I have explained before, and it is now highlighted orange. If we press V on this, it is now connected to the cannon. Ignore the text here because it is broken. The text does not match what is actually trying to be conveyed through this tutorial section, but you can see that there is now a shot being fired from this cannon, which is nice. And if we press this one over here, we have connected another cannon. There are two different barrels firing two different laser beams at the wall over there. And so we have created a multi-barrel cannon system type of thing. And now he wants us to talk to him. The information can give you an edge over your opponent, so listen carefully. You may have noticed when you flew those ships back there, the laser cannon has a fairly long reload time. There is actually a way to change that, and the best thing is you can apply the same knowledge to any other weapon out there. Here is how it works. If you have two computers with their own connected modules, you can actually link those two computers together to create a powerful combo weapon. You forfeit the ability to fire both weapons separately for a single, more powerful weapon. Depending on which weapon system you slave to another, the results will differ. So, basically, what you can do is take one cannon computer or another weapon computer and combine it with another cannon computer, or whatever weapon computer you want, and create a much more powerful system. So, a cannon computer will increase firing speed. A missile computer will create more projectiles. Damage beam will increase range or speed. And damage pulse computer will increase the damage dealt. Those are the basic, combinations that these weapons will do when connected. And I'll demonstrate that in the next bit. They're going to demonstrate this with the next bit of the tutorial. So let's move on over here. So we have a missile system here, which is connected to all of these, although it's not letting me display that. It's not letting me connect to this. It's not letting me select it. But this is a missile system, and it is connected to all of these missile modules, very similar to the cannon system we set up earlier. So if we press C here, you can see that this is connected to all of those cannon modules, and it is currently firing and blasting a hole through the back there. You can see how that's working. So if we take this system, which is supposed to be highlighted and connected to all of this in a similar fashion, if we press C on this cannon computer and we press V on this missile computer, we have created a new type of weapon. Their damage is combined, but they are now one weapon. You cannot fire both of them on their own. The effect is based on the ratio of the two weapons. Since the ratio of the two weapons is 1-to-1, the resultant effect is 100%. So you can see now that we're firing a shotgun type of blast. And that is because we have connected this missile system to this cannon computer. So if you see a light blue highlight on the missile computer or any other blocks, it means that it is connected to another controller block. Hopefully I've explained that well for you, because that is probably the more complicated side of weapon systems in Starmade. And it's a bit advanced, to be sure, but you can get some really interesting effects with this. And of course, with this system, there are about, I believe, 75 different types of weapons you can create with the base 4 weapon systems in Starmade. So, we're going to move on now, and we're going to talk about one of the last things in the tutorial, and that is, I believe... Oh, no. Okay, my mistake. We're going to talk to this guy, and he's going to give us some weapons, some personal weapons to use. He's given us a laser pistol, a rocket launcher, and a sniper rifle. Of course, keep in mind that the icons for these do not actually match what they are, but you can left-click and fire with them. You can right-click with fire at them, as long as they're selected on your hotbar. So if I fire a missile launcher, we've just caused an explosion over there. I don't know if it will actually break blocks. This is a sniper rifle which shoots pretty much immediately. Like, it's got the range. It just shoots instantaneously across the entire range, and it does pretty good amount of damage. And a laser pistol for self-defense or self-attack. I don't know. Do whatever you will with it. Fight others. Create content. So we'll talk to this guy, and he's going to talk to us about crafting. It's the best way to make money and anything you'll need in the world. The crafting is based on a tree. Raw resources are at the bottom, and almost every block has its own recipe. That recipe is based on those raw resources. There are two main types of raw materials, crystal shards and ore. You can process them into generic materials and capsules. Generic materials are alloyed metal meshes and crystal circuits, and they can be used to make anything basic. Advanced materials are capsules, and they are specific and needed for the more advanced recipes. So we're going to click OK, and he's going to ask us to mine some resources by hand. It's more efficient to use a salvaging module, which is something you can place on a spaceship, but we never got the opportunity to use those. And I should make note that if you want to know what a salvage module looks like, this green block is what it looks like. It doesn't make sense that it's on the space station because you cannot use it, but a lot of the blocks can be placed on things that they really can't be used for, such as the space station, just for decorative effect, of course. So this is what a salvage module looks like. I don't have a computer to show you, but you will use those on spaceships to mine from your spaceship. If you're not in a spaceship, you can right-click and hold down the right mouse button to mine some shards and some ore. And this is what these blocks look like in the world. They come in different colors, and he wants us to refine those materials. So we can mine all of this up in the tutorial, and it will help us when it comes to crafting. So if we press the I key, we have opened up our inventory. You can move around each window and resize it as you see fit. And he wants us to craft, so we're going to click craft and refine raw materials. So here we're going to either left shift and click on that to automatically pop it in there, or we can drag it in. So I've dragged in both of the ore and the shards that I had, and they're going to create some raw materials for me. And there we go. So now we've got some metal mesh and some crystal composites. So I'm going to left shift to put those back into my inventory. Things will automatically be placed on your hotbar unless the hotbar is full, in which case it will be placed in your inventory. And now he wants me to craft a basic factory. So I'm going to click on this, and he wants me to drag in at least 10 metal mesh. Okay, so it says, awesome, you now have a basic factory. Remember that factories need power to produce. This station has enough power, though. Should you ever be in a survival situation, use a personal power beam to provide power. I do not have a personal power beam on me, but if you were in a situation where you had a factory but there was no power, you can use your personal power beam to supply it with power to get yourself some power blocks, and then you'll be good. So I have crafted some basic factories. If you click on View Graph to craft micro factory, it'll show you what you need in order to create these factories. So it says either 10 metal mesh or 10 crystal composite. So we can take these away now. We can gather some more of those. If you close all of these windows, they will continue in the background in your inventory while you do so. He wants me to place this factory block over here, so I will do so. And press R on the factory to open it. So I can click Next, press R on it. As you can see, you can put things into the factory or pull them out, just like you would with your hotbar. Press Change Production button and type in Power. Then hit the drop down and select Power Reactor Module to set up the factory. Alright, so here we have a much more advanced window, but it's basically the same as what we were already looking at with the Refine Raw Materials and Craft Basic Factory windows. So if we take all of this, we close all of that. So we want to change production, and it's currently producing nothing despite it being on, and we want to type power in here, and we have filtered out all the power blocks. We have power capacitors and power reactors. He wants power reactors, so we're going to click on that and click OK. And he says the factory will now produce power recharger modules or reactor modules. And you can click on the View Graph button so you can check what you need to produce an item. So if we look at the View Production Recipe button, if we click this, it will tell us exactly what we need in order to create this. So we have alloyed metal mesh. We need 20 of those metal mesh to create a power reactor module. So if we left shift and click on those metal mesh on our hotbar, it will automatically put them in. And we are now creating power reactors. Every single time this fills up, it will create one. And he says I am now done with the tutorial and I can escape at any time. Of course, I could escape at any time by pressing the escape key and clicking exit tutorial sector, but I am now done with the tutorial and I can properly exit without missing anything. So I've created some power reactor modules. I can now take them out, and I've combined them with the ones I already had in my inventory in the hotbar. So, that pretty much covers the basics of what is displayed in the tutorial, everything that they want to show you in the tutorial. Real quick, let's come over here and take a look at some of the other things that you can learn about. We have a few more NPCs that are willing to talk to us, but do not actually require us to do anything. So this guy here, John Mapper, some pretty intriguing names we've got going on. He's going to tell us how to navigate the universe, and if you press the P button, which is actually incorrect, I think it's M now, which makes sense for map, M for map, you'll see the galaxy map. So if I click M, we now see the galaxy map. This is what it looks like. This is galaxy. You can scroll in and out. And mind you, there are plenty more galaxies to discover. This is just one galaxy of many. Everything works on a grid system. That's how the game operates. And you can see that there are hundreds of stars in this galaxy, possibly even thousands. You can navigate the galaxy by using the WASD, Q, and E keys. Q and E will move you up and down. W will always move you forward to the relative to where you're looking. So I am constantly pressing W right now, and as you can see, based on where I'm looking, it's pushing me in that direction. It's a bit confusing to people at first, but they can get the handle of it as they play a bit. If you hold left shift and click the WASD, Q, and E keys, you can move by an entire star system, and you can filter out what you are looking at inside these star systems. So maybe I want to look at asteroid belt orbits. These are where asteroid belts, these yellow rings, represent where asteroid belts would be. You can see various symbols here. We've got an undiscovered planet, another undiscovered planet. These things, these weird shapes here, are shops. And you can also set waypoints. So if I wanted to, I could plot path to current, and it will set a waypoint. And when I go into normal space, it will be highlighted on my navigation as like one of those little arrow markers that we saw at the beginning of the tutorial. So that's pretty good. We can click on all sorts of stuff. If you're an admin, you can also instantly transport yourself to a selected sector from the map. So that's pretty good. And as you can see, that waypoint is now visible in the world and will stay visible until I reach it or until I remove that waypoint. If we come over here, we can talk to Dizzy Player. I don't know why he's dizzy. He says, check out the cool display behind me. You can enter text and even use different colors, sizes, and variables from your ship, like the current power supply. So, for the most part, it's just a display module that you can type text into. I can put complete gibberish in there, and it will display that gibberish. Just a random block that may come in use to you as you play the game. Bobby Mac AI. A really awesome thing you can do is docking your ships. You can use a turret docking block or a normal docking block for that. Just aim your docking beam. It comes equipped with every ship core at the docking block. So this is a bit outdated. For the most part, there's a new rail system that has been introduced into the game since the tutorial has been in place. But he's talking about how you can dock ships via rails, which is something that I'm unfortunately not capable of showing in this tutorial. But it is something that you may be able to learn about in future tutorials, and I'll get to that in a moment. If you press R on this block here, this is a Bobby AI module. This is what gives ships the ability to fly and control themselves, and this is also how you can create turrets. So you can tell it to be a ship or a turret, you can activate it or deactivate it. You can also tell it what to target. So you can tell it to target anything, selected targets, which is anything that you are targeting, missiles, or astronauts. There will surely be more in-depth changes to the Bobby AI in the future, so don't worry about that for now, because there will be some better control over Bobby AI in the future and stuff. We have George Factional here. He's going to tell us about the faction system really quickly. Basically, you can create your own faction, you can set your own ranks, you can have settings, you can create a home base, which is an invulnerable base that allows you to have a safe spot in space. You can create news posts, and you can set it to be a public faction or an invite-only faction. You can get a mining bonus in any systems that you claim with your faction. So if you have a faction, you claim a star system, you get 12x mining bonus on default settings, and you will receive a message about people entering your system every single time they are in range. And that's pretty much the gist of it. And this is a faction module which you can use to create and faction ships, create home bases, create space stations. I cannot access this because this faction module belongs to the tutorial station, which means that I am not a part of their faction. So that's okay. Over here we have Logic Mike, who is talking about all of these logic blocks behind him and how they are basically circuits. So if I take this and I press C on it, and I press V on this, you can see that I've connected this controller block, this activation module, to this light block up here. And if I activate it, that yellow light will stay on forever now because that block is staying on forever. If I turn it off, if I press R on it, it will turn off again. So that's pretty neat, and of course I can do this to all of them. So there's some logic going on behind here. You can see the lights changing from orange to blue, which is telling all of this to switch. But if I turn that on, now I've overridden everything that those are doing, and they're all on now. So logic is a pretty in-depth and useful tool that you can learn about, but it's more of an advanced thing, and you don't really have to learn how to use it in order to fly. Oh look, the shotgun blast that we created earlier is blasting through the station. They've got a bit of an air leak now, I suppose. And this is the last guy. His name is Effectful Paul. He talks about weapon effects and effect modules. And basically, they're a system that you can combine to your weapon system, much like the weapon combo system. So these things all connect to their own weapon module. The computers are backwards right now. Something happened to the textures or the blocks to reverse their orientation, so I apologize about that. But you can press C on the weapon module or the effect module computer, and V on the actual module block itself. All of them look like this. They share the same visual style. And these things will alter how your weapons work. So if you connected this computer to a weapons computer, this is explosive right here, so that will do explosive damage. It will spread out the damage that your weapon does over multiple blocks. Another one is, I think this might be ion. I could be wrong, it could be EMP. But if it was ion, for example, this one would do more damage to shields than it does to blocks. So if you connected this to a weapon system, it would do more damage against shielding on a ship than it would do against blocks. So you can kind of cater your weapons to different playstyles and different types of damage and what you want to focus on. If you connect these systems together and place them on a ship and you do not connect them to a weapon system, you can use them defensively. And what that means is, sorry, there's some really loud snow plows going by my house right now. If you connect these and put them on your ship, and you do not connect them to a weapon system, you can use them defensively. So if I had the ion effect, which does damage against shields, and I do not connect them to a weapon system, it will boost your shields. It will make them more stronger, and it will make them mitigate damage more. So that's kind of something that you can learn about by reading block descriptions from a shop. I'm not near a shop, so I can't demonstrate that as well. Really quickly, this has been a long tutorial. It's been a 40-minute video, which is ridiculously long. I didn't think it would take me this long to get through it all, and I apologize if it took a little while, but I wanted to make sure that everything was properly explained to you. I don't want to, kind of skip over anything just because the tutorial did so. I want to make sure that new players really know what's going on and how to play the game effectively. So, in the future, the tutorial station is totally probably going to get redone. It's just too outdated and it doesn't show enough of what you need to know in order to play the game, and it could be done a lot better. So we will be redoing the tutorial station in the future. When that is, will probably be closer to final release or beta release, just to make sure that everything that we want to get in there is in there and that we don't have to redo the tutorial station more than once. Additionally, on this channel, the Starmade channel, there will be a tutorial series coming out. That is something that has been in the works for a long time, and only just recently have we been able to get going with it because of the new keybinds. The default keybinds that we have now let me give you some accurate information to the tutorials that are going to be coming. And they're going to cover everything from what we just explored in this tutorial to some more advanced stuff like these weapon effects, all of the logic, rails, which have not even been displayed on this station yet, which are a pretty important part of the game. So everything that you can think of in Starmade, you will be able to experience with those tutorials that will be coming up on this channel pretty soon. Now I'm going to escape the tutorial sector and I'm going to leave. It's going to drop me out into normal space. And real quick, if you need to activate those tutorials, again, you go to Options, go to General, and you find the tutorial enabled. Make sure that it is on. And then, if you want, you can click on Tutorials. You can view more tutorials by clicking through any of these, and it will give you some text-based information which will explain how things work. These may be outdated as well, so keep that in mind. But if you want to start up the tutorial sector again, click on the one named Tutorial Startup, and you will be brought to the tutorial sector again, and you will be able to experience what I just experienced. So, I've been Chris. Thank you for watching. Thank you for playing Starmade. Subscribe if you want some more of those tutorial videos in the future, and I'll see you next time.